On the pink piste, we have men's foil, and that's where we're going to be turning our attention this morning. The first men's foil piste. On show for us, we have Dougie Ashby of England, Dominic de Almeida, also of England, Duncan Morrison of Scotland, Jan Samulski of Scotland, Luke Wallace of Northern Ireland, and Harry Hayes of Wales. The referee is going to be Phil Slater. Our final pool taking place at the moment will be on the blue piste, and that will be women's epee. So we have wheelchair foil, women's epee, and men's foil in this first wave. The plan for the day is that we're getting through all of the pool rounds, all of the preliminary rounds, and we will also be later on this afternoon at about 1 o'clock. We will have the wheelchair final. But we begin with men's foil on the pink piste, and first up we have Dougie Ashby against Dominic de Almeida. So we have de Almeida on the right, Ashby on the left. Both new to the school games, neither of them have competed here before, but both very, very experienced fencers. De Almeida, he's ranked 9th in the British Under-20 rankings, and this season, a highlight of his season so far, it's been a last 64 at the Junior Europeans in Plovdiv earlier this year. Dougie Ashby just crossing that boundary between under-17s and under-20s. He's ranked under 11th in the under-20 rankings. Highlights of his seasons would be he's being at both the Cadet Europeans and the Cadet Worlds. So two very experienced fencers internationally, but they're taking their first steps. This is their first opportunity competing at the school games. De Almeida on the right, Ashby on the left. Pool fights. We have a pool of 6. Everyone will fence everyone in the pool, first to 5 hits, and this will provide the seeding for the knockout rounds to take place tomorrow. Referee Slater just testing the weight of the weapons. Each weapon must be able to hold a weight of 500 grams without turning on the light. So only a hit of 500 grams or more will depress the button. Both of these fencers will have high hopes of performing well in the knockout stages tomorrow. So it's an opportunity for both of them now to send an early message to their competitors and set themselves up. De Almeida probably the more experienced of the two. Older. You'd look to see him really start to try and take control of proceedings, really trying to dominate the piste where on the piste the action is taking place. Ashby at the moment seems to be trying to prevent de Almeida gaining some space. He's keeping it really tight, not allowing de Almeida the space to develop and create actions from open space where he may give himself that more time. And again, keeping it tight, keeping the distance tight from Ashby, he builds the attack and scores. De Almeida's got himself some space now. De Almeida looks unsure. He's not. Doesn't seem to have worked out how he wants to go through and defeat Ashby's defense. Ashby, no such doubts. He's closing up the distance really tight and then scoring with counterattacks. Much more certain from De Almeida that point. He pulls Ashby down the piece. Then when he wants, he closes up the distance and scores with the counterattack. Nice use of the space. This time much more aggressive from De Almeida. He's much more certain what he's trying to do. He's trying to really get on the front foot. He's got some space. He accelerates into it and scores against Ashby. Much more confident performance. De Almeida moving more confidently now. Those last two hits feels like he's really managed to get his distance set and understanding the space he wants to work at. Ashby's got a really sharp change of direction, really sharp change of pace, and when the distance gets tight, he looks like he's got the edge. So he's going to be wanting to really use his ability to change direction, change speed, keep the distance tight, and allow him to catch De Almeida by surprise when it gets close. Ashby working hard going backwards, but maybe just a bit too simple with his action. De Almeida's still got a lot of space to work with, and he can see that and score. Very committed off the line from De Almeida now. He's really starting to feel his actions after a slow start. De Almeida building now, putting under pressure, fake actions, accelerating, easing off, creating doubt in Ashby's mind, and is able to finish really calm, really simple. Strong finish by De Almeida after a slightly slow start, but he'll be happy with that. Ashby was able to get a lot of his game going, particularly his sharp changes of direction, his sharp changes of pace, so he'll feel good about that. Up now we have Samuel Ski and Morrison, both of Scotland. Samuel Ski on the right, Morrison on the left. This is Samuel Ski's first appearance at the school games, whereas Duncan Morrison was here last year, finished 7th. So Morrison has a bit more of an experience of this environment, and we'll see if that experience is telling against his teammate. Both left-handed fencers can sometimes throw them off their distance if they're not used to fencing left-handed. Fencing a left-hander is rare, can be rare enough as it is. Two left-handers fencing each other, they don't often get experience of that, so feeling that different distance and those different angles of attack can be a challenge early on. Morrison immediately looks comfortable. Samuel Ski looking to try and press, looking to try and push down the piece. But Morrison has no problems waiting for him and absorbing the pressure. Morrison's patience paying off with 2 hits. He's just taking his time as he's pushing forwards, letting Samuel Ski make a mistake. In this case, Samuel Ski goes for the counter-attack. He's a bit short, and Morrison's able to capitalize and score. This time much more direct from Samuski. He's pinned Morrison towards the back where he can make a sharp action and score. He's looked to get Morrison down there pretty much every point, but it's the first time he's been able to really pin him there, spend some time, and capitalize on the pressure that the back of the piece builds. Morrison not wanting to go over the back. So Samuski preying on Morrison's patient build-up a bit, throwing out lots of fake actions, lots of stutters, lots of stops, just trying to create a little bit of doubt in that patient build-up, so give him something that he has to react to. And again, Samuski's able to stop his attack by a strong fake action and then parry and get away. Now he's again trying to pin Morrison to the back. Maybe rushes the finish a little bit. I think he can pin, if he can pin Morrison back there, then he can really create some pressure on him. Samuski caught up close, caught indecisive. Morrison's able to capitalize on that. At that distance, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know exactly where you are. Samuski was caught, not really knowing whether he wanted to defend or whether he wanted to counterattack. In the end, didn't really do either, and Morrison's able to score. Morrison building patiently again, but again towards the end of the piece, Samuski's able to absorb the attack. Building again with Samuski. Can he create that pressure he wants at the back? Again, maybe just triggers that attack a bit too early. Both really patient in their build-up in the first 2/3, 3/4 of the piece. But it's when they get towards their opponent's back line that he's starting to see that little bit of nerves, that little bit of urgency to finish. Like to see a bit more composure from both of them in later fights. Up next, we have our first match that isn't between two teammates. On our right, we're going to have Luke Wallace of Northern Ireland. And on the left, we have Harry Hayes of Wales. This is Wallace's first appearance at the school games, but Hayes was here last year, finished 12th in the individual event. So we'd like to see Hayes try and use his experience. Remember him from last year, he was a real front foot fencer, liked to get forwards, liked to press, and liked to attack. Be interesting to see if he tries how quickly he's able to get his game going and what game Wallace brings. Here we go, Hayes on the left, Wallace on the right. Immediately, Hayes gets the initiative and starts to press. Pressing quite aggressively, but lets it finish short. And just finding his way into this fight. Wallace building patiently, keeping his weight back. He's just inviting that pressure from Hayes, trying to draw a counterattack from him, and he's able to score. Real low center of gravity, wide base from Wallace. Reminiscent of the Italian Olympic champion Daniele Garozzo, again, who just tries to invite that counterattack, sits back, waits patiently, really takes advantage of the timing in foil. Again, there's that slow build-up, just waiting, just out of distance, trying to tease Hayes into the counterattack. Triggers early, and Hayes is able to absorb it. When you're building an attack like this, you've got to be so patient. You've got to absorb so much pressure. Hayes dealing with it well so far. He's trying to just create doubt in Wallace's mind. Lots of fake actions, lots of little stops, lots of starts, lots of change of pace going backwards. Makes it very, very hard for Wallace to know when the real counterattack's coming, or whether it's a fake, whether it's something he needs to react to, or whether it's something that he should avoid.
So fencing, as we all know, I'm assuming has been in the modern Olympic Games since 1896, all the way through to the present time.
Again, Hayes is able to trigger Wallace's attack, just using the blade, keeping him under pressure. Eventually gets scrappy, and Hayes is able to keep his composure and score. Hayes looking comfortable at the back of his piece. Good sign of confidence. Hayes keeps a much more compact shape when he's going forwards compared to Wallace, and he's able to keep that, aggressively attack with his feet, pin Wallace to the back line and score with an attack. Confident from Hayes. He's looking good. Again, Wallace building but not showing that patience that he needs to be showing if he's going to be attacking this way and inviting and making his opponent wait. This time he tries to find a way round and over the parries. Hayes is equal to it and just goes direct and simple. Hayes did a really good job in that fight of disrupting Wallace's patient build-up and patient attack and getting him to commit early, and then he was able to get the rewards later on when Wallace tried to rush the attack, tried to go big, picked him off on counterattacks. I think if Wallace is looking to score with his attacks later on, he's got to be much, much more patient in his build-up, maybe throwing in some fake attacks of his own, some fake finishes. We've seen everyone through once now, so everyone is back on now for their second fight. So we have all the teammate matches, so everyone now is against an opponent from a different nation. We have Dougie Ashby back on the left, who we saw in the first fight up against Dominic de Almeida. Went down 5-3, showed good change of pace, good change of direction, really sharp feet. We had Duncan Morrison back on now from Scotland. And what we saw from Duncan was we saw a nice patient build up on his attacks and looking really comfortable and composed on his own back line. Be interesting to see if Ashby's high tempo approach will disrupt Morrison's patient build up, or if Morrison's able to keep his cool, slow down the pace and keep it at a much lower speed, which will probably favor him. Immediately Ashby working hard, going backwards, just drawing out finishes from Morrison. Distance is closing up nicely, keeping it quite close. Probably favors Ashby. You feel that Morrison probably wants that space a little bit wider, give himself a bit more opportunity to see what Ashby's doing. Keeps his distance when it starts to get close, gives himself just a little bit of room, scores a nice counter riposte against Ashby. Really sharp, not letting the distance collapse up too much. Ashby using his feet well, but allows it to get close. Morrison just closes up the distance a fraction and scores. But looking really patient going backwards is Morrison. Ashby's not looking a little bit frantic. And again, Morrison just keeping cool. He knows he's got a height advantage. He knows he's got a reach advantage. If he just stays cool, he's got time to work. Much better from Ashby this time. Gets Morrison all the way to the back, not just halfway in towards his back line, but all the way. Pins him there so he can't go away, so he can't escape, and then lines up his attack. Much more composed fencing from Ashby. Lots of short attacks early doors. Both fencers trying to find their way through with their attacks, trying to find the distance, trying to find out how is their opponent trying to deal with their attack, how are they trying to disrupt it. Ashby building again, and again he accelerates, maybe gets a bit too close and is lucky not to get pinned by Morrison's counterattack. like to see if either of them are able to get their attacks working this match, or if they're going to rely on defense. Both of them have looked pretty strong when defending, although Ashby was able to score his point when he finally pinned Morrison to the absolute back of the piece. Morrison looks comfortable right up until he gets into that final meter and a half of the piece, where he's under pressure not to go off the back and concede a hit. I think if Ashby wants to continue with an attacking strategy, he's got to really get Morrison all the way to the back, pin him so he's got nowhere to go, and then look to score. Looks like we've got a technical issue at the moment where Morrison's kit is showing up a light when he's not hitting, so we'll just take a little look around the rest of the the rest of the hall to see what else is going on. Wheelchair foil well underway at the moment. On the green piece, on the far piece, if you're following the live updates online, you can see that.
So on red, 6 and 3, Davis 2, Davis fighting back into this. Harry riposte again, riposte good, Davis in 3-3. Okay then, so 6 and 4, it's plain sailing and now it's not. Davis with the attack, Michael has turned it around, okay. So he was trailing by 3 to 0, now it's 4 to 3, this is Benson, this is how things can change.
On the red piece, Davis of Wales making a good comeback against Sigerson from 3-1 down. He's now 4-3 up and building his attack. On blue, Charlotte Summers of England fencing Rachel Lever of Scotland. Rob Kirby from the Armory team just trying to sort out this technical issue. Looks like a problem with the spool, so they're changing it around to see if that fixes it. Morrison probably wouldn't mind it so much if the lights start coming, green lights start coming up when he hasn't hit. Ashby probably a bit less keen. So we're back underway. Morrison's looked strong when he's been patient on defence, but looked in trouble when he's been pushed all the way to the back. Not really been able to get his attack going yet as Morrison. Got patient build-up, but he gets in close, and as soon as he gets in close, definitely favours Ashby. Over on blue, Summers and Lever continues. Summers taken an early 2-0 lead, patiently accumulating hits, while we continue to have technical issues on pink. Summers sitting back on blue, inviting Lever to come onto her. She's got a 2-0 lead, so she knows that Lever's going to have to start chasing. Still plenty of time left if Lever takes it calm, but double hits do nothing for Lever at the moment. She's got to look to create, and Summers is looking really calm, really composed. Again, Summers looks very relaxed. She's got a 2-hit lead. She doesn't mind doubles. She'll look to score, but she doesn't mind if it goes for double. Lever, she's coming down the piece, but she doesn't really look confident. She doesn't look like she knows how she wants to score. Summers happy to sit back, happy to wait. She's patient. She's got a 2-hit lead. The scoreboard is Lever's enemy, and the clock is becoming that as well. Just over 30 seconds left. A strong parry from Summers takes it. Really composed display from her over on the blue piece. On pink, we're still having issues. Armory team have started a ritualistic dance to try and get the kit working again.
So, next up on the blue piece is Zoe Pegan up against Laura Sheffield. Sheffield, recall, which I think I do, is the reigning School Games Women's epee champion.
Really is a thriller on pink at the moment.
Their title. Zoe Pegan, I think, and I'm pretty sure, is a newcomer, so this might be her first outing in the School Games, so baptism of fire here for Pegan.
Rob Kirby thinks he's got the answers.
On the left.
He's going to change the other spool now. Hopefully we can get this sorted and get back underway.
Women's epee champion Sheffield on the right, and Sheffield knows how to wield that blade. Brits and Brits now. So, Pegan and Sheffield on blue, we'll see what happens.
Morrison's back, he's getting clipped on. Are we going to be ready to go? Referee Slater's face is not one of optimism.
Pegan, no stats. Look at the differentials in height. Sheffield well over 6 feet. Height is an advantage in epee because reach is important. In the mixed wheelchair, who have we got there? I think it's Kesnian, the Stormtrooper, Paskowski. Let's see who he's up against. Sheffield again, just with her reach on blue, Imperious 3-0. So I think Kesnian Paskowski is up against James Thomas.
We've got activity on pink. Is the saga of the green light concluded? And we are back underway. Almost a new match now, first to 3. Such as the delay has been the delay. See who refocuses best, see who's able to keep their game going. This time Ashby keeps it cool, goes all the way to the back, gets parried, but is able to deal with Morrison's riposte and score on his own. Neither one of them looks really keen to get it up very close into the real infighting territory. They're both trying to keep it quite open, give themselves a bit of space to see what their opponent's doing and score.
No one is sent home. It's tomorrow where the cut starts. But it is important in terms of victories and the number of hits that you score, the hits that you receive. So the more points that you score, like you in the fight 5-0, you don't get any points against you,
The green light is back. It's a mystery to be solved, this one. No one seems to really know the source of the problem. Senior referee Adrian Speakman is down on the sidelines.
Not being hit is very important. As it would be offensive, get the not too long. There we go. So on the red piece then, next one. What do we got? Oh, we've got a nice riposte there. It's England Wales. Who is it? Needs to get the eyes squared away. I suspect.
Animated discussions going on now down by Pink between the Armory team and the official team, trying to work out what the problem is, trying to work out how to fix it.
So, Howler on the left. Gibbon on the right. Gibbon slick shoulders. Needs to perk himself up. It is fencing. And it can happen. Now looking for the blade. So if you leave the piece, the referee will put you back on, he'll put your fencing distance. And sometimes this can happen if at the end of the piece, the distance means that you have to be pushed over the end line, you lose a point. And Howler
We're going to have another go. Third time lucky.
tricks, looking for counters, trying to throw the kitchen sink over him. Somehow he puts one on. Is it given?
Back underway. Real test for both of their focus now. So many delays, so many pauses. Who's able to come back to get themselves back focused, get themselves switched on.
This time that riposte is given, so Robert Gibbon gets that one, he's ball back in 1-2.
Very difficult match for both of these two now. Ashby's able to draw the counter-attack from Morrison, Harry at the score. Ashby looking much more aggressive and much more confident with what he's trying to do. He's driving Morrison towards the back of the piece, really with really aggressive footwork, really aggressive change of rhythm. Morrison needs to get some kind of hold on this match, needs to get some kind of control back.
So when they put together as they do, the referee doesn't separate, so that's a simultaneous action.
Morrison trying to build now. Is he going to be able to impose any pressure on Ashby? Ashby's work rate on defence is what's winning him these points. He's just taking lots of change of speed, lots of change of distance, keeping Morrison guessing, and Morrison's trying to play a really passive game, but it's not working out for him at all.
So, Robert Gibbon then. Seeking advice from Coach Media. Speed Coach Media.
Morrison building now, looking a little bit more aggressive in his push, but Ashby's still working him really hard. Morrison's finding it very difficult to pick the time and space to land the attack. Ashby again building, changing his pace. Is he going to go all the way? No, again, he drops short just after the on-guard line. This time he builds properly, able to finish, but it's off target. Much better build-up from Ashby, taking Morrison all the way to the end. Unlucky not to be able to finish that attack. Morrison in trouble now. Needs to get out, needs to find a way to start landing some attacks or imposing some kind of pressure on Ashby. But with only 4 seconds left, he's got no time. And we are out. Time is up, 3 minutes expired. Ashby wins 4-2. Difficult match for both of those fences with all of the delays. Ashby dealt with it maybe better of the two and was able to capitalize by pushing down. Morrison seemed to lose a bit of focus on how he was trying to score his hits, how he was trying to disrupt Ashby's attack. Back on now. On the left, we have Harry Hayes of Wales. And on the right, we have Dom de Almeida of England. Both won their first fights. Hayes more experienced in the competition, but de Almeida really experienced at junior international level. very experienced fencer abroad, looked confident in his opener against Ashby once he was able to get his distance and his attack feeling good.
Crossley taking care of business already. It's 5-2. Who's he up against? Ooh. So James Thomas.
The issues persist.
I'm going to forward before I actually go down and see photos of those wheelchair athletes because they're so fast. You quick when you miss it, that's thing about wheelchair fencing.
The mystery continues with the green light. Senior ref Adrian Speakman is now on the floor, sharp as ever in his purple shirt.
On orange, women's epee. Who do we have? I will consult the oracle, which is my portion. So, I believe it is Alexandra Powell versus Abigail Watkins.
England fans in the house giving their support to De Almeida.
So Powell on the left, Watkins on the right, that's 4-all. 6 seconds. Here we go.
Looks like we're going back in. There's some confident moving around. We look like we may have sorted this issue. De Almeida on the right, Hayes on the left, both on for their second fight. Immediately De Almeida's looking purposeful, looking sharp, looking aggressive, looking to get on the front foot. He's controlling the space well. Trying to put Hayes under pressure. Lots of fake actions, lots of change of pace. De Almeida takes his time to line up the riposte. It lands, but Slater says had already called halt, too late. De Almeida building his attack now. When he was positive with it in his fight against Ashby, he was really successful. Hayes keeps compact, but De Almeida is able to draw him in and score over the top with a counterattack. He uses the space really well, always making sure that he's either pushing his opponent down or pulling them towards him. Again, De Almeida builds. Hayes has not been able to find any make any real inroads on the attack. De Almeida's not scored with it yet, but he's landing a lot. De Almeida seems really keen to be on the front foot. Hayes is keeping his shape, good compact shape. He's not offering De Almeida much in the way of chances, but now he's pinned to the back line. There's nothing he can do. Again, look for De Almeida to push all the way down the piste. Hayes tries to force the pace. He doesn't want to spend any more time in his half of the piece. De Almeida absorbs that pressure, absorbs that attack from Hayes, is able to pick him off when he steps too close. He's really taken that momentum from his first match against Ashby, and he's looking very strong at the moment. Moving really well, absorbing attacks. This time maybe a little bit casual, maybe a little bit too relaxed, too confident. Hayes is able to punish him. This time, Hayes changes up his tactics. When he misses the attack, when he gets parried, he goes in again, relying on De Almeida taking his time to line up his attack. He gives himself that opportunity just to go in again and score while De Almeida's loading up. De Almeida looking cautious again. Not really been able to land any of his attacks when he's before he's pushed Hayes all the way back. Building again. This time, more aggressive, more pressure. Hayes flying backwards, and De Almeida is able to score. Strong performance again from De Almeida. Hayes just looking maybe a little bit passive, just kept a good shape going backwards, compact, didn't offer much in the way of obvious mistakes, but didn't put any real pressure on De Almeida and allowed him to dictate the fight. Coming up next, we have Wallace against Samuelski. Both these fencers dropped their opening fights, so they're going to be looking to repair the damage done. Wallace is going to be on the right, Northern Ireland. Samuelski going to be on the left for Scotland. He said in Wallace's first fight that he's got to look to be really patient with his attack. He likes to take his time, but he's got to back that up with patience to really draw out the mistake. Samuelski started well again with his own slow attacks, but wasn't able to capitalize when he got down to the end of Morrison's piece. Wasn't ever able to really push him into the red zone and generate any genuine mistakes.
And that will be wheelchair, women's spoil pools, men's epee. So for the second half, what we've got in the arena.
It looks like the technical faults of earlier are a distant memory. Which almost certainly guarantees that they'll be back in this fight. Wallace going all the way back, this time pushing his attack with a little bit more. Again, he's just maybe a bit too passive going forwards, waiting just that bit too much, not putting Samuelski under enough pressure. Would like to see him change speed a little bit more, just create some doubt, have Samuelski make a decision. Samuelski's building his attacks well. Wallace is very happy giving ground. If Samuelski can keep his composure when he gets Wallace to the back line, this could be a very profitable fight for him. Samuelski keeps the pressure on and scores. Really, really good from Samuelski. Keeps Wallace pinned down to the back and scores off. Creates the mistake, lets the piece do the work for him and scores. Wallace now trying to push out. He doesn't want to find himself down towards his own back line too often. Samuelski's clearly got it in mind that he wants to get him down there. Looks to go spectacular to Samuelski, but it's low percentage, high risk hit. Really gifts a hit to Wallace there. Flick done not really with any conviction, just waved at it. This time Samuelski trying to press, trying to push forward. Wallace holds his ground. Samuelski gets caught stepping forwards and Wallace is able to score. Much stronger presence that time from Wallace. And again, he's building. This time he's taking more time to set it up, more time to really drive Samuelski back. Gets the response he wants, but unable to capitalize. Again, Samuelski's building. Look for Wallace to close up the space. Try and deny Samuelski room. It gives him too much room and ends up going off the back, even though he scored the hit, driven off the back. It's a good point from Samuelski. Wallace driving this time, changes his pace, creates a bit of uncertainty. Like to see him do that much more on his attacks. Philip Slater, arms up, arms all over, eventually gives a point to the left. Final miss was with Wallace.
So the counter riposte is the action when you attack your opponent, blocks your parries and riposte, and then you parry their attack. This time the attack is parry riposte bottom.
Wallace, this time exactly the other way round. Slater again extravagant with the waving of his arms, gives the point to Wallace. Final miss was with Samiski. Again, Wallace got a good distance here, but he just lets the space close up, and now it's advantage Samiski. Always looking for the extravagant riposte is Samiski, not having any joy with it yet. And again, that passive attack from Wallace just not working for him. The distance is closing up and he's not doing anything about it, which means that it's almost like he's sleepwalking into that close-up space where it favors the defense. Wallace needs much better awareness of what the space is when he's attacking, because if he lets it get close with the way that he's attacking, the advantage is with the defender. He'll have to react to every counter-attack, and if he doesn't react, then he's at risk of being picked off.
So he's getting counter turning. So if he does that again, that's Samolski.
Referee Slater, a card for Samiski for bringing his back shoulder in front of his front, covering up his target. Wallace building. He's patient, but again, the space is too close. At that critical moment, he just lets the space get close. He's not able to work. Much better here. Got some space to work with, but again, Samiski's able to absorb his pressure. Real product of uncertainty, that last hit. Wallace has not looked confident going forward. He's not looked like he's really had conviction in how he's building his attack, and Samiski's able to just drive in and surprise him with a strong attack off the front foot.
Created a Twitter hashtag so you can get directly to us. It's up on screen. It's hashtag 2017 fencing. And that will bring us into the...
Our delays are a thing of the past, and now we're flying through these fights. Ashby back on for England, and Hayes back on for Wales.
We've got some dodgy pictures here from our athlete mentor, looking extremely mentorish. So if you want to out-cook the cook, hashtag...
Probably the two highest tempo fences so far, Hayes and Ashby.
Okay, so I'm going to go down into the arena now. Look at
Hayes had a tough fight out against De Almeida in his last match. Wasn't really able to impose himself on the De Almeida attack, but Ashby's attack is not as strong as De Almeida's. Expecting to have a bit more joy here. He keeps a compact shape and doesn't make too many mistakes. See if Ashby's learned the lessons from his match with Morrison, where he was really able to capitalize when he got Morrison pinned to his back line. Any attacks that started before he got Morrison into that final warning area tended to fail, tended to be where he got scored against. What's going to be the story of this fight? Hayes really looking to drive his attack early on. We saw in his first fight he kept everything very close, kept short, sharp acceleration, small steps, closed the distance in a very broken up way, made it very difficult for anyone to find the parries. This time goes maybe a bit too simple, goes maybe a bit not enough change of speed, not enough surprise, and Ashby's able to pick him off. Good build-up there from Hayes, but Ashby looks really solid on defense. He just absorbs it, takes the parry at the last moment and scores. And this time again, like his previous match with Morrison, Ashby finishing his attack between the on-guard line and the warning line. Hayes is comfortable there. He can just absorb that, take the parry and score. Hayes is looking much more confident on defense than he did against De Almeida, able to just wait out Ashby's attack and wait for that fast finish before scoring. Again, Ashby finishing around the warning line. That's not enough. That's not far enough down the piece. Hayes still got a good 3 meters behind him of space to use. Again, Ashby tries to force the attack through in the same part of the piece, and Hayes just camps there, expecting Ashby to push it that bit harder and scores with a counter-attack. Ashby building more patiently this time, but again, he pulls the trigger too close. All of the action taking place around Hayes is on guard line at the moment. Definitely favours Harry Hayes if he's able to keep it around here where he's got room to work on defence and he can build an attack out of there. If Ashby wants to create get a foothold in this match, he's got to build right towards the back line. This time Hayes gets tangled. Not a bad idea going for the counter-attack. Gets tangled. Ashby's able to score. More patient from Ashby. Didn't trigger early. Didn't try and rush his finish. Hayes back on the attack again. Similar story. Very similar story to on Ashby's own attack. He fires his attack from around the warning line. Ashby's still got room to defend. If you want to push the attack, you've got to get all the way to the back. They can't, when your opponent can't step back, they can't get out of the way, you can just deny them opportunities. So far, the only fencer who's really pushed all the way, who's been able to use every inch of the piece on attack and on defense, has been De Almeida, and he's the only fencer who's won all of his matches so far. Up now, we have Morrison back on, and he's taking on Wallace. Saw earlier, Wallace is really struggling with his attack. He's not able to put anyone on, he's not able to put significant pressure on his opponent. Morrison was strong in his first outing against his teammate Samuelski. But against Ashby, he was put under too much pressure by the fast feet of Ashby and succumbed to Ashby's pressing tactics. See if Samuelski's going to look for some of his more flamboyant ripostes. Again, he's always tried, he's been trying a lot to go round the back, round his own back, through his legs, over the shoulder. No joy with them yet. But persistence may pay off. Wallace keeping much better distance here. Samuelski's much happier to retreat. It's a nicer environment for Wallace, and almost capitalizes much, much better. Samuelski giving Wallace just a little bit too much space, and that allows him to accelerate in. Really flicky movements from Samuelski. You can see clearly he really likes to whip the blade around and score with lots of flicking attacks and a very loose, relaxed hand. That's what allows him to score then with his attack. Aggressive build-up from Wallace. Looks like he's decided that the passive approach is not the way to go, but just gets ahead of himself, isn't able to see when Samuelski changes direction, and isn't able to capitalize. We've got to find a balance now between that aggressive attacking approach but still retaining the calmness and composure to see what's actually happening in front of you. This time Samuelski goes for the counterattack, drops it short. It's not a bad idea, and you can see him gesturing to his box, saying that he only just missed. It's not a bad idea, but just dropped it a bit short, and Wallace is able to score. Again, similar story. Samuelski's whippy technique there, not really giving him any advantage. He gets the timing, gets the space for the riposte, but just whips it off target rather than straight. And this time, while Wallace is building up, after he takes that first step, when he's looking to start to push, he's vulnerable. Samuelski's caught him twice there now, particularly as the space gets nice and close. Apologies, I've been saying Samuelski. It is, of course, Morrison who's on. Distance very, very close. Wallace is in danger here. Morrison lets it open up. He's going to look to close it down. Goes for the counterattack, but he's maybe just a bit too far away. If he closed up that space first, he would have been in with a better chance. And as they both go in, Morrison's able to pick up and score. Wallace just not looking comfortable at all when the distance gets close. He's got to try and keep Morrison at bay. Lots of change of pace. And again, third time Morrison's been able to score on that hit, where as Wallace is trying to go from that first step and look to push, he just relaxes, gets a bit too complacent, gets a bit too patient, and Morrison scores. Now the real Samuelski coming on. He's going to be up against De Almeida. De Almeida on the right, Samuelski on the left. De Almeida's looked the strongest fencer in this pool comfortably. Been very, very aggressive. Really used the piece well. He's been the only one who's really pushed his attack all the way through to the final end parts of the piece, and he's always looking to get on the front foot on the attack. Very fast, looks to be positive, looks to attack. Samuelski, the only person who's really been able to create problems for him, was in the first match where Ashby didn't give him space to accelerate, kept the distance really tight. See if Samuelski looks to copy that and deny De Almeida the space to work. De Almeida looking really confident going in all directions. Even defending, he's keeping the space open. He backs himself to find the parry, backs himself to stop Samuelski's attack. He wants space to work rather than to try and deny and shut down the attack. Covering call against Samuelski from referee Slater. And again, De Almeida just playing with the distance, closing it up, closing it, opening it, creating doubt for Samuelski, and that allows him to hit and skip away. Looking really strong now is De Almeida. Again, he's just keeping the space open, changes it when he wants, gets messy. Final missed riposte is Samuelski's, so De Almeida scores. Samuelski building more aggressive now, more proactive, and now he's able to score. De Almeida initially not happy with the call, but when referee Slater explains, he accepts. Fast attack from De Almeida. And again, when he's defending, he starts with that space open up, then he closes it down, puts Samuelski under pressure, creates the impression that he has to finish, he has to do something. He's just dominating the space at the moment, is De Almeida. Wide, wide, wide. Look for him to close it up there, and then opens it and then closes it again. He's really toying with the space. Unlucky not to capitalize, but Samuelski was cool, was relaxed, was expecting the counterattack. And this time, as the space starts to close up, Samuelski triggers, fires in, and De Almeida is able to step out the way and score. He's really using the space well, particularly on defenses, De Almeida. Just keeping it open, closing it almost at will. And that's what's allowing him to pick off all of his scoring opportunities. Really intelligent, creative fencing. We have Wallace back on now on the right. It looks like he will be facing off against Ashby. Expect Ashby to be quite happy fencing defensively in this fight. He's looked really strong when he's going backwards. He works hard, lots of quick changes of direction, lots of quick changes of distance. And that's the sort of thing that's really caught Wallace out on his own attack, who's struggled to find his own rhythm, struggled to find his own space, particularly when the defensive fencer has put him under pressure and created doubt. Smaller format this year in the school games. Traditionally, we've had 4 fencers from each nation, so we've always had 2 pools of 8. This year, down to 3 fencers from each nation, so it's pools of 6. So the pool round is much, much shorter, probably at least half an hour shorter than in previous years. Ashby again looking to keep it tight. He looks calm, he looks composed. Attack lands off target, but it's a good sign. He's fencing close, but he looks relaxed. Again, he's just holding his patience. Wallace driving forward. He's being more proactive in this fight as he was towards the end of his last one, but he doesn't look confident. His head is down. Doesn't look like he believes he can land those attacks. Ashby's able to score a comparatively simple hit just by good change of direction. Again, Ashby's building well. Wallace is giving him a lot of space on the attack, so Ashby can build from space and attack with real acceleration. Conversely, Ashby working really hard on defense. This time, though, Wallace is through. Ashby gives him just too much space going backwards. Wallace is able to attack from open space and score. See if that inspires Wallace to start to push forward more, start to really take his attack. Again, this time, Ashby opens out, he starts close, but then opens out the space. And as soon as he does that, he invites Wallace through. Wallace is all too happy to oblige. Feel like if Ashby wants to get back some control on defense, he's got to stop opening out the space quite as much as he is, because Wallace is happy just pushing through, very, very calm. Ashby's got a bit of a pattern when he's going backwards. He lingers for about a second and then accelerates away with 2 steps. Wallace has picked up that pattern really well. He's going to look to try and get on the attack as much as he can. See if Ashby starts to try and deny him that. Starts to build. There's those 2 steps away from Ashby. Holds in for a couple of seconds, and this time he just stays closer for longer. Wallace steps in, expecting Ashby to go back. Ashby's able to take the blade and score. Much more intelligent from Ashby. Ashby building his own attack. Wallace is giving him a lot of space, but he's comfortable on the parry. And this time again, Wallace steps in, Ashby stays close and scores. This is the story of the match. If every time Ashby's kept it close, he's been able to score. When he's given Wallace space, he's had no chance. Again, he gives him space. He's got to stay in tight. Ashby keeping really close, opens out the space, but this time when he comes back in with more aggression, comes back in much sharper, much quicker, catches Wallace off guard, is able to take the blade and score. Much better finish there from Ashby. Gave too much space to Wallace, just looked a bit repetitive in his footwork going backwards, and Wallace was able to score. Tightened that up for the final part of the fight, and was able to really force some mistakes out of Wallace. Getting towards the final few matches now in this men's foil pool. Harry Hayes on, and he'll be up against Jan Samuelski. I promise it really is him this time. Here we go then, Samuelski on the right, Hayes on the left. Hayes compact, aggressive with his feet on the attack. Samuelski maybe a bit more flamboyant. Great press from Samuelski, but Hayes is patient, uses every last inch of the piece. He's caught with his toes on the back line, but that's enough. And is able to score. Good pressure from Samuelski. Really pushed Hayes all the way to the back. If he can do that regularly and keep his composure when he gets him there, he's going to create a lot of opportunities to score.
Okay, I've just been corrected. It's Hayes, but with my Yorkshire accent, I often say Ailes. My apologies.
Here we are, Samuelski pushing again.
And he's doing some damage at the moment.
And this time when Hayes comes through again, it's that fast feet. He closes really aggressive, really quick, fast steps. Deceives the opponent as he's closing in. Samuelski stepping in, looking a bit complacent. Hayes is really sharp. He doesn't give anything away. He keeps the point on target, keeps his shape really well, and that's what allows him to score those direct counterattacks. Better push from Saminski, a bit more change of rhythm with his feet. Keeps Hayes guessing, so he has to keep stepping back. Great parry this time from Saminski. Takes his time, really lines it up, allows Hayes to commit, gets Hayes tangled in knots, and then scores over the top on the shoulder. Both looking a bit relaxed there. Need to sharpen up to score those hits. Saminski takes the blade and waits, but doesn't wait long enough. Hayes goes in with the attack. Then we get tangled up. Go for a little dance. Bang into each other and try again. Clock's still running though, so we need to get that stopped. Referee Slater takes charge of proceedings. Saminski allowing Hayes to rush onto him, and he's just dropping back, letting Hayes overcommit onto the attack. Good pressure this time from Saminski. Pins. Nicely pinned Hayes to the back line here. Can he capitalize here? Keep him where he is. This time Saminski not willing to give ground, not willing to drop back. He wants to keep Hayes where he is. Hayes goes composed, starts strong, and scores. And this time Saminski trying to find his way through. But Hayes looks comfortable on his back line and just waits. Very, very patient. Keeps his point on target, and while Saminski's waving around up in the air, goes straight in, goes direct, scores. Good fight from Hayes. You can see he's happy with the finish. You can see he's happy with his performance in that match. On now we have De Almeida, the only unbeaten fencer in this pool, coming up against Morrison. Referee Phil Slater been joined by Jen Sancroft now for moral support. De Almeida really getting a move on now. He's looked strong on defense all morning, and now he's starting to really get his attack going. His change of pace is really dominating the fight. Morrison tries to build his attack, but De Almeida puts him under so much pressure when he's dropping back. Creates so much doubt in the attacker's mind. De Almeida clearly in a bit of a hurry on this one. Dalmeida's delivered a variety of different attacks now. He's gone very fast and very direct. He's gone faster and longer over a longer distance, and now he's slowed it right down. That different pace creates a lot of uncertainty for Morrison. He doesn't know at what point Dalmeida's going to bring this pace and attack, and there he goes again. He brings something slightly different. Each one gives Morrison something slightly different to think about. Dalmeida's clearly decided he wants to be on the front foot on this fight, wants to take it to Morrison. Again, he goes direct and he goes sharp in, just drops short. Morrison, though, unable to capitalize, just because he doesn't seem to really know exactly what's coming from Dalmeida. Good composure there from Morrison. Dalmeida maybe not working quite as hard on that point. He opened the distance, closed it, but Morrison still retains composure. Got to work just a bit harder on that one. This time Dalmeida not happy. Once his weapon changed, doesn't feel like this one's doing the job for him. So Dalmeida, new foil back on. Morrison's done a really good job getting back into this fight just by staying calm, picking up on Dalmeida's mistakes. But this time Dalmeida gets on the front foot again. He wants to go, pushes the accelerator and goes. When he's taken his time, he's often maybe not been as successful, and this time strong attack off the line, drives straight in. Morrison looks to protest, but he's got no hope. Very direct, very clear from Dalmeida. Morrison's frustration's getting the better of him, I think.
So now, 8 minutes time at the end of the configurational pick. The next wave will be brought out, so the men's 12 and women's epee.
Coming up now, Dougie, Ashby, Jan, Samuelski. We are on for our final 3 matches now. Everyone onto their last match each. Ashby on the left, Samuelski on the right. Ashby's looked strong. He's built his attack up over the course of the pool to make it something that's really worked for him, but it's been in his defense is when he's looked really composed, looked really strong. It was how he was able to score his hits against Dalmeida in the first fight, and it's what he's built the fight around. Has been sharp change of direction and hard work when he's defending. Samuelski, always looking to push, always looking to build down the piece. In his last fight, he did a good job of that against Hayes, but Hayes lost his composure just towards the end when he really needed it to land the point. Ashby, quite similar to Hayes in the respect that he keeps himself quite compact, keeps his shape, keeps his point on target. He's going to look to capitalize on those flamboyant actions from Samuelski and pick up opportunities to score. And again, Ashby just working backwards. Accelerates in at the end, unable to land on target though. Nice attack this time from Ashby. Just slows it right down. He was going quick on that first attack, slows it right down, gets Samuelski to go for the counter-attack, expecting the speed, and finishes calm. And again, slows the attack right down. He builds quickly, then slows down, gets Samuelski panicking, and scores really calm. Good change of pace. Fast down into slow. And this time Samuelsky starts to take his time. We spoke about that at the start, that Samuelsky likes to take his time with his riposte. He likes to really wind them up, likes to keep his blade moving. Ashby, though, his point on target, no frills, scores calmly. So they're getting close. Ashby steps past, stops the riposte landing. He's looking calm. And again, when it gets up close, Ashby wants nothing to do with it. He's just going to go straight past. Samuelsky's big hand actions getting him punished at the moment. He just can't find his way to the target with the point. Ashby doing most of his work with the feet, just keeping the blade really, really simple. And again, as Samuelsky starts to wind up, as the hand starts to get big, as the feet starts to get big, Ashby steps in. Isn't able to score, but he'll be happy with that. And now Samuelsky's starting to have to finish short. He's worried about that counterattack. And again, Ashby, when he takes it on the attack, he's just slow. He takes his time. There's no rush. He knows that counterattack from Samuelsky is coming, and he'll just line it up and finish. And again, really good performance from Ashby. Dominated that fight. Kept it very, very simple technically. But good change of pace. Put him in charge. Strong finish from Ashby. Samuelsky will be disappointed. He was caught out by just being maybe that bit too big, bit too extravagant with his hand. And you can see he's frustrated with himself. Penultimate fight coming up now. It's going to be De Almeida on the right for his final match against Wallace. His last fight, De Almeida looked to really go at Duncan Morrison. He looked to really stamp his authority on the fight. Maybe got half an eye on lunch. Wallace struggled to really get his attack going. The only person he's had any real joy against was Ashby, and that was when Ashby gave him space to work and allowed him to accelerate in. I don't see De Almeida being so charitable in this fight and giving him that space. So Wallace is going to have to come up with something a bit different to find an answer to what has been a really strong all-round performance from De Almeida. He tuned his attack in fantastically in the last fight, and his defense has been strong all the way through this pool. What answers has Wallace got to the form fencer in the pool? De Almeida immediately looking to put the pace on. He's immediately looking to raise the tempo of this fight, put Wallace under a lot of pressure. Wallace hasn't looked confident, and De Almeida's trying to capitalize on that. Patient and aggressive attack from De Almeida down the piste, and scores. De Almeida starting to get flamboyant now. He's clearly feeling confident. He's feeling like he's got everything working. Looking to try and finish this pool with a bit of a flourish, score some good confidence-building hits. He's changing pace really well now, getting creative with what he's doing with his feet. Enjoying himself out there as De Almeida. Somehow misses his first one, but is able to whip one around the back of his head and score. The sort of hits you can only score when you're feeling relaxed, when you're feeling really good about your fencing. Wallace is coming forwards, but he's not looking in complete control. He's not looking confident. Wallace building now, looking more positive, looking more aggressive, and he's able to score. Really good attack from Wallace. Put some proper pressure on De Almeida for the first time. Aggressive with his feet. Need to see more of that. Take heart from that and take that into the Ds tomorrow. Remember that aggressive pressing with the feet. Worked hard on his defense there. De Almeida stayed cool, kept his space, saw the counterattack coming and finished. This time very direct, very fast from De Almeida, off the line and scores. Good variety from De Almeida. Sometimes he looks to build, sometimes he looks to go direct. Excellent patience, excellent tactical thinking. And again, this time the pressure, just too much from De Almeida. He keeps the blade in the face. Wallace inching his way forward, hoping that De Almeida will make a mistake, hoping that De Almeida will give him something. But he finishes strong. Really good finish from De Almeida. Wallace taking to the Ds, that strong press on his final attack, which landed, used his feet, was aggressive. Final fight now. Harry Hayes on the left, Duncan Morrison on the right. Final fight in the hall now. Duncan Morrison on the right, Doug V. Ashby on the left. All eyes on this. James Williams, the commentator in the hall, is going to be calling them through, rousing the crowd. Morrison immediately presses down the piece, presses, gets the mistake from Hayes and scores. Hayes aggressive this time, but steps in too close. Morrison, again, camps himself on his back line, waits and waits and waits, picks off with the counterattack. Good start from Morrison. He's looking confident. Very clear actions, very clear plans. Again, he's pressing. Hayes unlikely to go for that counterattack. Sits back. More pressure from Morrison could have really created a scoring chance there. Morrison working back, keeping it sharp. He knows that Hayes likes to accelerate. Morrison building calm, isn't able to score. Both looking a little bit uncertain when they have to really push the pace and finish that attack on their terms. Again, short from Morrison. He's got extra piece to work with. He's got to push it that little bit harder. When he's got Hayes on the back foot, capitalise. Strong riposte from Morrison. Takes his time, lines it up. Hayes nods his head. Good hit. Well done, mate. See if you can do it again.
Counter-attack. Hayes parried. Still waiting. Not the line. Do not stop fencing, athletes. The referee is in charge, so they must keep going until the referee comes home.
Morrison pushing again. That nice riposte giving him a real buzz. Hayes wants back into this. He's not going to let this be his final say in this pool. He wants a bit more. But again, Morrison finds the blade. He's looking really solid going back now, is Morrison. Got a bit of a strut to his walk. He's finishing this pool strong. Straight off he's pushing. He wants to finish this with a nice big attack. He wants a nice strong finish. It'll feel great to end the pool like this, but no. He goes early, he goes short. Hayes camps there, draws the parry and scores. Scottish team down by the sides. Quiet and reserved as ever are the Scottish support. Again, Morrison pushes, but he can't find his way through Hayes. Got to go confidently if you want to score against a strong defender like Hayes. Much better, takes his time, creates uncertainty, pins him to the back and scores. That will have felt great for Morrison. Great finish to the pool for him. Smiles all round, and we are done with the first wave. And welcome back after our short break. It is time for our second wave of pool rounds. We've just seen men's foil, women's epee, and wheelchair foil. Now, on the red piste, we have men's epee. On the orange piste, we have women's foil.
Also representing Wales, from England, Matthew Dickinson. Representing Northern Ireland, Michael Thompson.
On the pink piste, we will be covering men's epee.
Women's foil, refereed by Michael Jacob Ewing-Pina. Representing Scotland, Murray McLaughlin. Also representing Scotland, Fiona Russell. For Wales, Alice Watson. Also representing Wales, Phoebe Down. For Northern Ireland,
And our final pool coming out on the blue piste is going to be women's foil.
representing England, Alice Cameron.
We will be staying with the pink piste,
Men's
where we have men's epee, refereed by the incomparable Jamie Simpson and the formidable Noah Blackmore. On our piste, we have from Northern Ireland, William Gervin and Paul Verdon. From England, we have Will East and James Russell. From Scotland, we have Alex Papadopoulos. And from Wales, we have Edward Don. Our first fight up will be the all Northern Irish affair, and that'll be Will Gervin against Paul Verdon.
James Russell. For Scotland, here's the name, I'll try and get it for you. Alex Papadopoulos. All right, review. And the final acting in that piece representing
The epee, of course, different from the foil. Hits can still only be made with the point, but in epee, the whole body is target, and we have no rule of priority, no rule of attack and defense. It's an all-out free-for-all.
also representing Northern Ireland, Catherine McConvey. Representing England, Charlotte Fairmont. Also representing England, Phoebe Newton-Hughes. Representing Scotland, Ian Steele. And the final athletes in what will be a vicious encounter on blue, representing Wales, Eleanor Redknapp Butler. All right, Eleanor, you do your take that one. So,
Here we go then, underway. We have Verdon on the right, Gervin on the left. Typically, the most cagey of the three weapons is epee. The idea is more towards not being hit as it is towards being hit. The value of a hit considerably more. The value of a one or even two or even one hit lead, massively important in epee. And what we might see quite a lot of is as one fencer creates a lead, they sit back, invite their opponent to come onto them and try and score off of their mistakes as they try and force the pace of the match. Very friendly at the start between Verdon and Gervin. That won't last. As soon as the masks come on, it's going to be play to win.
following this, remember, at 12 o'clock, it will be semi-finals of the mixed wheelchair. Going on green at 12.
Coming on at 12 o'clock as well, we have the semi-finals of the wheelchair foil. That'll be on the green piste. and later on we will be covering the final of the wheelchair foil on pink.
Referees, when you are ready, start the fight.
Jamie Simpson taking care of all the formalities at the start. Slightly different to foil. The epee has to be able to hold 750 grams of weight, not the 500 in foil, and there's also the gauge test to do. Jamie though, look, he knows what he's doing. He's a professional. Making sure that the fencers know what they're about, know what they're doing. Rules his piece with an iron fist, does Jamie Simpson. So early doors, we've got already a slower tempo than what we had in the foil. Gervin sitting back, asking the question of Verdun, how much does he want to push, how much does he want to try and take a risk. Verdun quite happy to sit just on the edge of distance at the moment, not committing too much into potential traps from Gervin. Verdun tries to go for the surprise, dropping down to the foot. Gervin is equal to it, sits back, scores over the top as Verdun's hand drops. Nice early win for Gervin, just sitting back, very comfortable. His tactic as well of sitting in his half of the piece will only get more effective as he builds a lead, as Verdun is forced to come forward and score hits against him. So Verdun's going to have to early on make sure that this fight doesn't get away from him in terms of scoreboard, or Gervin will be able to just sit back and pick off the mistakes that Verdun makes as he comes forward searching for hits. Again, a frustration early on from Verdun. He's going in, he can't quite score. Gervin sitting back comfortably, calmly, scoring. Verdun now, he's had his mind made up for him. He's going to try and push, he's going to try and get forward and score. He's got to set up though. Around the warning line, very much like in foil. Around the warning line, there's no real threat, there's no real danger. Now as we start to get towards the back, now they're in trouble. Hit scored, but referee Jamie annuls it. He said it got too messy, he didn't want anything to do with it. Verdun trying to push hard now on against Gervin, trying to get him right, really uncomfortable. Gervin though looks calm, he looks composed, he knows where he is on the piece, he knows how much space he's got, and he knows that he's got the 2-hit lead and that Verdun needs to score. Verdun again, he's just trying to score, he's forcing it now. He's getting close, he's putting under pressure, but he's not doesn't feel like he's putting him under, creating enough on Gervin. He's not forcing him to make a decision, he's not forcing him to commit to anything, and he's able to wait and score. This 3-hit lead now looking very formidable for Gervin, and you can see immediately he's just dropping back into his half. He has no desire to force the pace of this match. Verdun has to do all of the work, and he's not really proved that he can take it and score. Nice hit over the top from Verdun as Gervin waits. Acknowledges it. Gervin acknowledges it. Still a 2-hit lead. 1 minute to go. Still a long time if Verdun uses it properly, but he's got to get Gervin to commit. And that's the challenge, is Gervin has no real incentive to commit to anything. Doubles do nothing for Paul Verdun. Verdon immediately off the line, ready to go. He wants to make the use of every second that he's got. Doesn't feel like he's really setting anything up. He's getting close, he's getting down the end of the piece, but then he's just launching. There's no setup, there's no response. If you're the first one to trigger in epee, you will lose. And again, Verdon frustrated with himself. He let that match get away from him. Gervin will think job done. Sat back, scored the first hit, sat back and was able to play to his own strengths. From his point of view, perfect match. Verdon will be frustrated. You can see it in his face, the agony. He wanted a better start than that. Up now, we have Will East and James Russell, both of England. James Russell finished 8th here last year. He's the highest placed finisher of everyone who's still of all the returning fencers. Also ranked 12th in the junior rankings. Will East never competed at the school games before, but ranked 6th as an under 20 in Great Britain. So he's got pedigree elsewhere. James's experience of this event, this large multi-sport environment that the school games will be useful. How well will it play against Will's perhaps slightly better performance this season as a competitor? East on the left, Russell on the right, both gone with conservative choices on their mask design. Always feel if you're making a statement with the mask, you should probably go and win. And only one of them is going to be able to get away with that this time. Both starting from really far out. Both starting from far away and both committed in from a long distance away. No real risks taken. They'll both be happy with that double. James Russell using the longer handle, try and really exaggerate the reach that he already has and makes the most of it. Direct attack straight in. East looking to press forward, but he's cautious because he knows that James has got a good acceleration in his attack and he knows that he's got a big reach advantage both with the handle and with his size. So it's a cautious game that East has got to play, but he's still got to stay positive and he's still got to create pressure. This time he goes chasing the hit. Russell is able to sit back, very comfortable and score as over on the arm as East steps in. Looking good so far from Russell. Much like Gervin, as soon as he's got a lead, he can sit back and just absorb that pressure, pick off the mistakes as East comes chasing the hits. This time sits maybe a bit too deep, gets a bit too pinned into his box. East is able to score against him on direct. Let's look for Russell to come out and make a bit of a statement now. Try and reassert a bit of dominance in the fight. East pressing again. He had success when he was able to get James back, get him caught. And again, draws out the counter-attack from East. Draws out the counter-attack from Russell, sorry. Parries it and scores. Good. This East holding a much better distance now. He's getting close, but he's not overcommitting. Letting his feet do the work, keeping his point on target, ready to deal with any interruptions that James Russell tries to provide.
early rounds are about seeding. No one is eliminated today.
Russell now trying to put a bit more pressure back on East. Maybe he feels like he's sat back, been a bit too passive in the last 2 hits, and allowed East to get some dominance in the fight. He wants it back. This time, really good double time action from East. He goes to the wrist, freezes Russell in place, and then goes again while Russell's holding his ground. Now you see East start to sit back. He's got the lead. He wants to see what Russell's attacking game is all about. What have you got, mate? Russell gets away with that one a bit. Fires a flash, no real setup, didn't really prepare it properly. Probably a bit too far away as well. He was able to save himself and get away with it. Again, East goes for that double, sort of long, stretched out action, trying to catch Russell before he steps back. Just over 30 seconds left. East maybe caught between two minds. Does he want to press and score, or does he want to invite the mistake from Russell? He decides to sit back. Indecisive, steps in, and Russell scores. Gift of indecision there. .20 seconds left. Both fencers now just willing to let time run down. Will go into sudden death. Now 1 minute. 1 minute, next hit wins. Before this starts, they will roll for who has priority. Whoever the light is on. So it's Will East. So if we reach the end of this minute and no hit has been scored, East will win. And this will probably dictate the flow of the fight. East knows that he can sit back. It's almost like he's got a lead. He knows he can sit back. He'll want to score, but he'll know he can sit back. Russell has to do the work. 45 seconds, a long time. And again, Russell triggers early. East scores, but referee Simpson's having none of it. Too close, too cramped. Again, East goes back to sitting. Needs to decide, is he going to sit or is he going to try and score? Russell's going to look to go sharp. He's going to look to go direct. He'll either try and draw him out or he'll try and surprise him with a direct, powerful lunge. East, and there we are. He draws him out and scores over the top. Felt like East performed better when he was behind, when he knew he had to go and score hits. As soon as he was ahead, he didn't know whether to stick or twist. So moving on now, we have Edward Don of Wales. He will be on the right. And from Scotland, Alex Papadopoulos. He will be on the left. On the green piece now, the semi-final of the wheelchair foil, making their way out to get set up. Can follow that on the live results service, but we will be staying with the pink piece for this pool. Remember, the final of the wheelchair foil coming up later on the pink piece.
So the first semi-final will be Joshua Waddell. I've been told that he likes Peter Pan, so his handle is Joshua Tinkerbell Waddell. Apparently, dreams can come true. Tinkers, let's hope they do. You need to win that match up because he's up against a very able there. The referee for that match will be...
Here we go then. Papadopoulos on the left, Don on the right. Scotland against Wales. Don has the very experienced coach John Rees in his corner, the Welsh coach. He's going with the bold decision of odd shoes. Very active early on with the point is Don. Papadopoulos just staying back, maybe a bit more watchful in his approach. Might be opportunities to pick off around the wrist where Don is being very, very active. Lovely attack from Papadopoulos. As Don is taking his time, trying to step in, trying to use the blade, Papadopoulos just goes straight, goes direct. Slim down approach compared to Don is what Papadopoulos is going with. Keeping his point on target, is keeping his movement simple, keeping it conservative, and he's just going to look to pick off Don when he makes a mistake, when he goes too big with the hand, when he steps in too close. Really solid epee fencing. Don changing his weapon, wasn't happy with the last one. And again, he's out. He's high energy, is Don. Works hard. Papadopoulos countering that by just keeping the space a little bit open so he can see what's going on. There's a lot of noise coming from Don. If you let yourself get distracted by it, you can get caught up in his game. Papadopoulos doing a really good job of just staying out of his way, looking for the mistake that he wants. Starting to get more active now with his change of distance is Papadopoulos. He's lining himself up to score, probably looking to go in nice and direct when Don steps in. Both go off and chase. Maybe better that for Papadopoulos than Don, I think. Probably feels like he might have gotten away with that one a little bit. Bit less frantic, a bit more direct from Don, and that could have, maybe even should have been a single light for him. You can see Papadopoulos looking for that great hit from Don. As Papadopoulos steps back out, he sits down a little bit, relaxes, he thinks he's safe, and Don flies in over the top and scores. Really good, very direct. Good, very simple, nice contrast to his normal movement, which has been quite erratic and quite flamboyant. And there he goes chasing. Bit of a gift of a hit to Papadopoulos there. Didn't need to do that. He's scored by playing off of mistakes. He didn't need to go chasing. Papadopoulos celebrating his dual heritage of this kit. He's got his Scottish stripe down his leg, and he's got the Greek stripe down his socks. Lovely flick over the top from Don. That flamboyance starting to pay off. He works hard, makes it difficult. If you get close, you're in danger. Papadopoulos has got to keep his distance. He's got the score and he's got time on his side. There's only 30 seconds left. If he keeps his space, he doesn't need to be invited in. He'll be able to pick off Don on a mistake. Don has got to close this up now, where his work rate will really pay off for him. When he can get in close and working hard will be good for him. Bit of all sorts. Referee Blackmore wants nothing to do with it. Papadopoulos sees the opportunity to go for that flesh again. He scored it early on. But Don's equal to it. He's ready for it, expecting it now. This time as it gets in close, you could say that Don maybe fired from too far away. Looked like he caught Papadopoulos. Caught him napping and was able to score. 3 seconds left, 4-all. This will be another one going to priority. Advantage Don. How will this change the fight? Papadopoulos has led pretty much all the way through, but now he knows he has to score. Is this going to change anything in how they both approach it? Is Don going to sit back, or is he going to try and press forwards? Initial impressions, it looks like he's going to try and sit back. Papadopoulos has accepted his lot, that he's going to have to push, that he's going to have to try and create something. This might work for him. He knows he has to score. Might just clarify his thinking. Don, does he want to score, or does he want to try and wait out the time? Papadopoulos looks confident. His thinking is very simplified, and he takes advantage. Don, again, like before with East, he wasn't sure. Does he attack or does he sit back? In the end, sort of attacks. Papadopoulos is ready. He knows he has to score. It's much simpler for him. Tactically, very, his mind is made up for him. Up now, we have Will East back on against Gervin. Gervin looked really strong in his first match, particularly once he got the lead. He was able to just build it on his teammate Paul Verdon. Sat back and worked really well. East dropped his first one 5-4 to teammate James Russell, but he looked at his strongest when he was pressing, when he was going for hits. Be interesting to see how this will play out, because it feels like he will have to do that against Gervin, who will sit back, who will wait for him. Here we are then, Gervin on the right immediately, dropping back. We know what you're going to get with Gervin. He's going to sit back, he's going to wait, he's going to draw out your mistake, and then he's going to try and score over the top. If he gets the lead, it will only make him better. He'll only play more into his game. So East is going to be really careful with his build-up. Every hit will be precious to East. He will not want to give anything away. And there he goes, straight in over the top. Early lead for East. Now then, will this force Gervin into a change of tactics? Still the same. Gervin thinking maybe a one-hit lead, not enough for either of them. Again, he's happy to sit back. East is looking to score again, and again, he just sits right on the edge of Gervin's distance. Gervin doesn't look to commit forward with his feet. He looks to try and absorb that pressure and score over the top. So East knows he can sit quite close, and he can let the distance do the work for him, and then score really sharp actions over the top, looking towards arm and shoulder. 2 hits the lead now. Are we going to still no real change from Gervin? A bit of a change. 3 now. Now the pressure's on Gervin. He's dropped 3. He's going to have to change tactics. He can't sit back. So he's got to try and press forwards, but he's got to do it in a measured way. How good is his attacking game? Can he claw back that deficit? He's still applying pressure. He's not done yet. He wants to go and score more hits, and he knows that he's scoring them well when he gets on the front foot. Again, he's got no fear. He's got no fear of Gervin's attacks. He backs his parries. If Gervin attacks, he'll be able to defend it and go round. Strong performance from East. Clear thinking, getting on the front foot and pressing forwards. I'd like to see him carry this approach on because it's working well for him. Gervin sat back, doesn't really seem to have an answer for East's game. East will want to get out of this 5-0. Doesn't want to allow anything for Gervin, and doesn't. Strong performance from East. Got the early hit, took Gervin's game away from him, and just built the lead, built the lead, built the lead. Really composed performance from the Englishman. Gervin hands over to teammate Paul Verdon now. And he's coming on against Edward Don. Verdon having some technical issues. Takes an agricultural approach to trying to fix it. It looks like he's failing the first test, the weight test. Referee Simpson shakes his head, saying it's not happening for you. If it fails the test, it's going to be a yellow card. Means that Verdon will start on a yellow card. Despair for Verdon. He has to hand over the weapon as well. It's failed. He'll have to get his spare. Right, round 2. Epee against the weight. He wins the second round. Verdon, though, will start the fight on a yellow card. Referee Jamie Simpson flourishes it with menace. Off the line again, Verdon. Rapid. He's going to want to be a bit more cautious this time than he was in his first fight, where he got picked off by Gervin. Don slowed down his pace a little bit from the first fight, where he maybe was a bit too energetic, a bit too frantic. Words with Coach John Reese. Maybe just slowing him down, taking his time, building. Verdon showing completely different tactics to what he showed against Gervin. He's trying to sit back now. He wants to be the one picking off the mistakes. We saw against East how that can be a risk. Agony from Verdon. He feels he should have had that as a single light. Don looking much more composed than he did in his first fight. Good signs. And he looks certain. He's pushing forwards, pushing forwards, pushing forwards. Verdon tries to get out, but again, the press is back on. Bit of a mess, and we end up where we started. Don's got Verdon in a good spot here. He can't go back. He's got to try and press out. So he can just sit here, draw the mistake, and wait for the one that he wants to score. Just sitting on the edge, trying to invite him out. Maybe looking for that flesh over the top. He scored it well against Papadopoulos. Verdon looking quite passive at the moment. Half the time gone, still only 1-1. And again, Verdon is stuck. You can say that maybe he got unlucky with the riposte, but he's stuck. He's not able to... He can't go back, so he has to respond to Don. He's not able to do this on his terms. If he lets himself get pinned, he's in trouble. He's 2-1 down already. One hit lead, nothing too serious. If it goes to 2 with less than half the time left, then he could be in trouble. What's Don's approach going to be? Still looking to press forwards. He wants a bigger lead. He's not going to sit back yet, not going to invite the... He wants to go and score. This time, Verdun doesn't give as much ground. And that means that when Don does step in, when Don does try and press forwards more, there's an opportunity to score. And he takes it, scoring to the leg. Don pressing again. Scores a level. Verdun was too happy going backwards there. And again, it's the same problem. Verdun triggers and attacks out. He dives out looking to score. But Don is just camped right on the edge of his distance. He can absorb that attack and score off of him. Now Don's dropping back. He's got his lead. Verdun camped in real danger now. He's got to find a way out of here. He's got to find a way to push back. Otherwise, Don has got opportunities. He's not going to want to attack, so there's opportunity for Don to land that flesh. It's a nice idea. That attack is definitely on, because Verdun's not going to want to attack out. He's been burned twice by that. So if he lines that flesh up better, gets the distance on it a little bit nicer, and there's opportunities. Attacks from out of distance does Verdun. He wants... Verdun having a animated discussion with the referee. It's only 13 seconds left, though. Referee Simpson sets him at the distance. He takes no nonsense, does Jamie. Only 10 seconds left. Verdun's got to push now. And as he's rushing, Don just keeps his composure, sits back, picks him off. 2-hit lead, 8 seconds to go. Verdun's got to do something special now. Pushing hard, overcommits. Don's able to duck around it and score. He's frustrated with himself as Verdun. He let that one get away from him. Got himself pinned on his back line early on. Let Don get the lead, and then when time was against him as well, he was in real trouble. James Russell coming on now on the left, and he's going to be up against Alex Papadopoulos. Russell looked strong in his opening match against the East. Very direct with his actions. So if he was able to either looking to draw East out or attack direct if he sensed hesitation, it's a good balance where you can capitalise on someone's mistakes but also capitalise on their indecision. Papadopoulos, we saw, looked strong against Don, where he kept his distance away from that, gave himself space and time to work with, and we saw he had a really strong flesh that he was able to use when Don stepped in. Both jockeying for position in the middle. Neither really wants to commit forwards or back, so we've got a bit of a stalemate in the middle of the piece. Starting to inch now into Papadopoulos' half. Russell is under no rush, neither of them any rush. Nearly 45 seconds gone now in this first period. We've not had any risks taken from either side. Both clearly happy to wait for the other one, but neither willing to fall into the other one's game. So no one being pulled down the piste. First minute's gone. Feel like this fight probably will not go the distance. Papadopoulos blinks first. He pushes to score, but doesn't land. No hits for either. Half the time gone, still 0-0. Who's going to take the risk? Who's going to press? Who's going to try and score? Someone's going to have to take a risk in this fight. Distance is still very big from both fencers. Neither one wants to be the first one to blink, and now that first hit really matters. Any lead is decisive, and there we go. Eventually Papadopoulos again. He blinks first, launches an attack, and Russell just sits back, scores over the top. The tactics of this fight are now set. Russell is going to be able to sit back, but he looks to press forwards. He wants to see if he can get maybe another hit, maybe a 2-hit lead, and then he'll be comfortable sitting back and inviting Papadopoulos on. Russell just sitting right on the edge, isn't able to capitalize. He's furious with himself, saying he's just waving at that. Papadopoulos in to score. Indecision from Russell. Wasn't sure whether to push, whether to sit back. Had the lead, but maybe wasn't happy enough with a one-hit lead. Thought about going and getting the second. Didn't really commit to it. Didn't really do either. Now he looks more certain. Now he wants to press. Papadopoulos sitting back. Very happy, just on the edge of Russell's distance. It's too far away that Russell can go in and score, and he's not biting at any of the bait that Russell's giving him. He's not giving him a mistake. Russell's going to have to go for this. He does, and Papadopoulos is equal to it. Papadopoulos will be very happy with this. 15 seconds left. He's got a one-hit lead. Papadopoulos will sit back. Russell's experienced, though. 15 seconds is a long time. He doesn't need to rush. He can build patiently. Getting close now. Off the back. Really good from Russell. He showed his experience there. 15 seconds doesn't seem like a long time. He only used 9 of it to score. Wasn't rushed. Took his time. And again, Russell's second fight now that's gone, both of their second fights that have gone to priority. 2-2, so the winner of this will be 3-2 at best. Russell with priority. Not sure if that favours Russell or not. He's been indecisive. He's shown himself weak when he's been indecisive. Would like to see him take control. Papadopoulos would have been happy with not having to try and score. But now he knows he has to. Is that going to clarify his thoughts? Russell sitting back. Looks like he's decided to try and invite the pressure on. And there he goes. He waits, and goes direct. Good from Russell in the end. Sat back, took his moment when it came. Papadopoulos looked indecisive, wasn't sure whether to keep building or whether to take his, or whether to try and go. In the end, didn't really do either and got stuck. Edward Don back on. He's on the right, and he'll be up against Will Gervin. Don's shown himself to be quite a pressing fencer. He likes to come forwards. He likes to get into his opponent's half of the piece, and Gervin likes to sit back. It's a good mix-up for both of these. It'll be all about who's able to deploy their game better. Gervin had a really tough outing against East. Wasn't able to score a point. Is there going to be any lasting damage from that? Or has he been able to shake it off? No equipment worries so far. Here we are then. Don against Gervin. And immediately, Don presses. Gervin sits back. He just takes a quick check on where he is. But Don has got him to the back line in no time. Who's going to be more comfortable there? Is he going to be the keeper or the penalty taker? Really nice hit from Don. He just sits there. Gervin gets stuck and he flicks over the top on the wrist. A lovely hit from Don. Again, he looks to press forwards. We saw in the fight from East that Gervin doesn't really force his attacks through. So Don can afford to get quite close, particularly if he backs his hand and backs his parries or his ability to find the blade. Just sitting on the edge now. Gervin's half committing forwards. There's opportunities here for Don. Just needs to get that. He's just inching closer, inviting him in forwards. And again, he just flicks it down onto the foot. Gervin, a little round of applause. He's pinned now. Will Don look to press forward again? Yes, he will. He's feeling confident. He's got a 2-hit lead, and he knows that his game is working. Gervin tries to interrupt him on this forward, but nothing doing. Slows down Don's approach a little bit, but it's still the same story. And this time Don gets tangled up, maybe just trying a flick too many. Going direct would have scored that. Feels like Gervin knows he has to press out. Doesn't look like that's his natural game. So he's having to adapt his tactics. Don goes past, but Gervin's allowed one riposte. He takes his time with it and scores. Really, it's 2 unforced errors from Don here that have let Gervin back in. Got to keep it simple. When you've got someone who sits back and waits for mistakes, you don't have the ability to go flamboyant. Or not. Big flick over the top from Don. Completely destroys anything I've just said in the last minute and a half. As you were. 1-hit lead for Don. Just over a minute to go. Still loads of time. Feels like this one will go the distance. Tactics are set, both know how they're trying to score. Don tries to catch Gervin by surprise. Falls straight into the bread and butter of Gervin's game. Sharp parry riposte. Got to draw a commitment from Gervin first. When you've got someone who reacts, when you've got someone who sits back, you've got to make them commit and then score off of their mistake. And you'll only get him to commit when he's on the back line. And we double out. 43 seconds left. Feels like this probably shouldn't go to priority. But what do I know? Don sitting on the edge. Got to get a reaction out of Gervin. If Gervin can keep his cool, there's a single light in this for him. One thing Gervin doesn't really want to be doing is being drawn out like that. It's not his strength. He wants to sit back. And again, he gets drawn out. He doesn't like it. Oh. Gervin's hopping. He looks like he's got a bit of an injury worry. But Don was able to capitalize. Limping now is Gervin. Medical team just to the side are looking on, ready to intervene. Looks maybe a muscular issue. Maybe a bit of cramp. On now, we have Will East back on the left, fresh from a really strong performance against Will Gervin. And he'll be against Alex Papadopoulos. Will Gervin waves away the medical team. He doesn't need their help. He's fine. Weapon check again. So Will East on the left, Alex Papadopoulos on the right. East looked really strong in his last match against Gervin. Papadopoulos struggled against Russell, but eventually lost out against Russell, but put in a very good performance. Could be a really tight fight, this one. East likes to press forwards. First of everyone here, he's probably the one who's shown a sort of the most clarity of strategy, trying to push forward and score. And again, we see it here. Papadopoulos likes to sit back. He's happy going forwards, but he likes to sit back. Likes to work with open space. Beautiful hit from Papadopoulos. You can see in East's body language, he was not ready for that. Absolutely pinned as he stepped in. Papadopoulos moving confidently now. That early hit was spurred him on. He knows he can get into East's game. And he's just sitting on open space, sitting in the space, waiting for it. Tries to go back in, but East has doubled up on him. Saw that from East. He used it really effectively against James Russell. Go with a short attack and then go shorter fake attack and then go with the much more direct, faster attack immediately after. This time East overcommits, gets stranded in no man's land, and Papadopoulos picks him off. Papadopoulos has been able to hit into East as he prepares, and he's been able to hit over the top of him. Good variety. East again now sitting on the edge of distance himself. Neither wants to be the first one to commit in because they know they can be punished. Oh. Despondent from East. Gets the attack he wants, goes for the riposte, completely misses, and Papadopoulos takes it away from him. 2 hits up from Papadopoulos. Is he going to sit, or is he going to try and push in? Scored almost all of his points by inviting East forward, so you feel like he's probably going to try and sit back and pick up his opportunities as he sees them. He's got to be wary of that double action from East. It's a strong movement. Good bravery from Papadopoulos, just sat on his back line. He'll be happy with this, 4-2. East can't make any mistakes. East calls halt, he believes he hit. Wants his weapon tested. You can see he's frustrated with himself. He feels like he shouldn't be in this position. Movement's now starting to get that bit more aggressive. He's opened himself out. Papadopoulos has got opportunities to score here. There's going to be a chance to pick him off as he steps in. Goes over the top, scores with a double. Really good fight management that from Papadopoulos. Early on, showed that he could score into East as he was preparing, and showed that he could score over the top of him. Creates indecisiveness in East's tactics. East is cross with himself, and Papadopoulos is really satisfied with that performance. Back comes Paul Verdon. He's up against James Russell. 2 tight fights for Russell so far. He's won both of them 5-4. Feel like he'll probably want a slightly easier journey of things now. Maybe feel like he's earned a bit of a break. Verdon's struggled. We've not really seen any clarity of tactics or any clarity of decision from him. So it'd be nice to see him come up with a real plan for how he wants to attack this fight. How's he going to go and score on James Russell? What's he going to try and do? Where does he want to score it on the piste? Not more kit worries for Verdon. He doesn't need this. Referee Jamie Simpson looks on unsympathetically. Verdon in beyond frustrated now. 2 weapons failed. He's going to start the fight 1-0 down on a red card. He did not need this. He's praying. Pleading with his weapon. And this time it passes. But he's going to start 1-0 down. Jamie Simpson gives him the old 1-2, yellow then red. 1-0 James Russell. Takes it with a smile, this Paul Verdon, but he's going to be annoyed with himself about that. Already under pressure in this fight.
this also fantastic. Fencing in the
Russell pressing immediately, goes with the feint, draws the response from Verdun and scores. Feels like Russell wants to go out and score some hits. Wants to get his attacking game going.
he's just awarded with a back and a wristband, and he's got plenty of them if you can demonstrate the attributes of the game. So are you passionate? Do you display honesty? Are you good at teamwork? Do you have the ethos of being part of a team? Are you determined? Do you respect yourself and respect others?
Big long attack from Russell. He must be feeling good. Big high risk attack. Backs himself to score though. Comes to nothing, but it's a telling sign if you're confident enough to go for a big attack like that. Verdun sitting back, doesn't really seem to know what he's going to do. And even though he parries, ref goes off on the floor. At the moment, he looks like he's just trying, looks like damage limitation from Verdun. 2 minutes still to go. There's lots of time for this. Russell sitting on the edge of distance, but Verdun will not be tempted out. He's going to have to start to go eventually. He left it very, very late in his last fight and ended up having to chase. It's not the position he wants to find himself in now. Russell's got his 2-hit lead and he's happy to camp. Just on the edge of distance, steps in and scores. Two hits becomes 3. James Russell looking in real control in this fight. This time, Verdun goes, scores. Reduce the deficit by 1. This is where I would like to see a fencer like Russell really stamp his authority on the fight. He's comfortable, he's coasting, but he's allowing, just by waiting, he's allowing Verdun opportunities to try and score. And immediately now, Russell's getting on the front foot and trying to press him, and there he scores. Good response from Russell. Verdun looking a little bit lost out there at the moment. And Russell goes back to a patient approach. Goes in, scores with a double. Nice, relaxed, calm attack. 5-2. Russell will be satisfied with that. Particularly, at the moment when his opponent started to get on a roll, he's put his foot down, reasserted authority in the fight. And now we have Mr. Gervin and Mr. Papadopoulos. Gervin was strong in his first outing against teammate Verdun, but ever since then, he's been a little bit exposed whenever he's gone behind. Papadopoulos will have seen this, he'll know this. We are Gervin on the left, Papadopoulos on the right. Papadopoulos has looked really strong.
It's not a straightforward equation. You put the hours in and get it out, but these athletes are definitely
Only came unstuck against Russell.
today.
He's moving confidently now. He got a good win against East of England in his last fight. And already the tone is set. Papadopoulos has been really good at drawing mistakes out of opponents, and that's how people have capitalized against Gervin. They've been able to draw him out and then score. This time, though, he goes straight over the top. He's gone direct. He scored beautifully against East with that. A very direct attack that caught his opponent by surprise. Papadopoulos again, pressing forward. Goes for that direct attack again. Bit too far out, and Gervin's got space behind him. That's not going to trouble him too much. Gervin looking to press now. He's started to change his tactics. Doesn't want to get caught on the back again. And that change in approach has paid off. Papadopoulos probably expecting Gervin to sit back. We've not seen any of his real attacking game yet today. But he's able to draw it level now. Does he stick with this attacking game, or does he go back to what he was, to his default? Does he go back to defense? Looks like back to defense. This might favor Papadopoulos. Got to get closer, though, if he wants to land that attack. There it is, nice and close, very direct. Holds the pose for the photo as well. He knows it was good, he knows he timed it well. And again, as he steps in, Papadopoulos is direct attacking game into his opponent is working really well this fight. Shown good variety all through this pool. Ability to absorb an attack or the ability to interrupt it. And now he's starting to get the showboat hits out. Lovely hits of foot. He's feeling good as Alex Papadopoulos. 4-1 up. He's in the business of scoring hits, and business is good. And finally gets the rushed attack from Gervin, absorbs it, confidently scores. Alex Papadopoulos is looking really strong. Here we go then. Back on Edward Don. Ready to hustle James Russell.
So the wheelchair final, just be given a reminder, will happen at 13:15. The wheelchair final will happen at 13:15 today, and that will be pink pieces. Joshua Boydell, Kasia Patkowski will compete for the gold medal.
Here we are then. James Russell on the left, Edward Don on the right. Don back to his high tempo, energetic best. James Russell's thick and calm. He had a confidence-building performance against Paul Verdon. Is he going to build on it by being positive, by being aggressive? He's already pinned Don to the back line. Don not wanting to give ground too easily, though. And if Russell just drives straight through the middle. Again, driving forwards, taking his time. He just sits right on the edge. Doesn't want to commit too much, but when he does commit, he's going to go straight. Don has gone back to that frantic start we saw in his opening match. It's not paying for him. We saw it against Papadopoulos. He was just a bit frantic. His blade was moving a bit too much. And James Russell is very direct and very accurate, and he's going to take advantage of this. And he's just picking him off again. Over, under, and through. Much sharper from Don this time. He just changes direction really, really tight. Doesn't drop back too far, just drops back far enough, and that gives him the time to attack over the top, to catch Russell as he's recovering. Good hit. This time again, direct from Russell. He actually holds his arm back a little bit as he starts the attack. Lets Don parry the attack before it's come through, and then goes. Nice delayed timing on it. Really good. But again, it's been confident from Russell. He's moving well now. Last two matches really seem to have clarified Russell's position. He wants to get forward and score hits. Nice hit again from Don. That flesh is his real weapon. If he can draw someone into committing just that bit too far, he can go over the top of them and score. It's nice work from the Welshman. Time, get scrappy. James Russell won't mind that one bit. He'll take the win. Maybe feels like he didn't put in quite as good a performance as he would have liked. But Pools is all about getting the 5, getting that victory. Back on now, on the left, ready to feast is Will East. Paul Verdon hoping his kit worries are behind him. He looks imploringly at the weight. The light stays off. He's overjoyed. Almost feels like he's got a hit already.
So we're nearly through this second round with Pauls, and very shortly, at 20 minutes, we will have the gold medal match against Asia.
Suppose you could say the kit worries have been a burden for Paul Verdon. East immediately into his game, pressing. It gets scrappy. East keeps his cool and scores. Verdon asking the question, did that hit the floor? Referee says no. East again is just driving forwards. He takes his time. He doesn't go straight away from play. Just takes the time to sit on the edge of distance, get a feel for what his opponent's doing, and then he starts to press. So he just sits, waits. Verdon's looking to attack, so he'll just sit back. Okay, that's fine. And then he starts to work him up the piste. Taking his time. He's scored 2 hits in the first minute. He'll be feeling good. Again, just working him up the piste. Will East, he knows where he wants his opponent. He'll take his time getting him there. And again, it gets in close. East is able to capitalize. He's the one who's in control of the situation, so he's the one who's dictating. Verdon is getting stuck. He's getting frustrated with his weapon. He's getting frustrated that he's not scoring the hits. Weapon's fine. Needs to start creating hits of his own. At the moment, he's going when East wants. So even when it gets scrappy, East has got the advantage. And this time, East goes. East is saying that Verdon was off the piste. Difficult to see from up here, but the referee says otherwise. Bit of confusion on the score. So it's 3-1. 3-1 to Will East. And again, East just takes his time, waits, doesn't commit off the line, but he's going to start to go to work, start to press. Verdon again sitting back. He's still 2 hits down. He's going to have to find a way to claw this back. So he starts to inch forwards, but he goes from too far out, and East picks him off. Not comfortable when he's having to press into his opponent's half. He can't seem to quite find the distance. Lovely hit. Completely ignore anything that I just said. Looks for that foot hit again. East is equal to it. Doesn't want to get caught out twice. Still 2 hits though, just over 30 seconds. Verdon's got to produce a little bit more magic now. He's too far away at the moment to really affect the fight. East will be very happy here. He's not giving too much ground because he doesn't want to end up under too much pressure too early. 20 seconds. Distance is still very wide. This favours East really nicely. He needs to make sure that when the distance closes, he does it on his terms. And then again, Verdon triggers his flesh from too far away, and East is able to pick him off and parry. Professional performance from East. Down now to the final 3 fights. We have Will Gervin against the hustle and bustle of James Russell. Russell will be on the left, Gervin will be on the right. We know their games quite well by now. Gervin showed some enterprise when he pressed forwards against Papadopoulos. So is he going to try and repeat that? What approach will Russell take? Will he look to try and press, or is he going to try and sit back like he did earlier in the pool? Looks like he's trying to press. Sharpened up his feet. Exploratory attack to the foot. Let's have a look. How you doing down there? And then goes for an elaborate flesh and gets pinned on the collarbone for his troubles. You're welcome. Gervin sitting back. He'll feel confident from having been able to pin that from Russell. Russell will be looking to go direct now. His mistake was trying to be too complex with his action, trying to make it a bit more than it needed to be. So everything now will be looking to go direct. Big attack from a long way out. He'll be reasonably happy with that. Gervin will be very happy with that. But he'll want another hit. He needs another hit at least just before he can start to feel anything like secure. Because Russell's going to force the pace now. This one will go all the distance. Russell just needs to be patient, pick his time and go direct. Again, Russell's frustrated. He cannot find his way through. Gervin's patience, he knows what he's looking for. And at the moment, Russell's looking maybe a little bit predictable. He's going direct to foot and arm. It's stuff, there's not a lot of disguise. It's stuff that Gervin can just wait for and pick off. He's either going to have to get a lot better in executing that, like that. He's just got to keep it really direct. If he keeps it direct, he's got a chance. 3-all. Feels like advantage Russell at the moment. Needs something different from Gervin. He needs to give Russell something to think about, because Russell has just been able to tune his game in. Again, building down the piece. When this gets close, it'll favour Russell because he's got the footwork, he's got the acceleration to drive in. Good interception there from Gervin. As Russell steps in, he steps in maybe a bit casually and Gervin scores. Russell's got to sharpen up his focus, I feel. He's maybe looked a little bit relaxed. Gervin just got to keep his work well, he's got to keep his patience, and he'll get that direct action from Russell. And when he gets it, he's got to be ready to capitalise. Intercepting Russell on the last hit, probably a good move. Just gives him something else to have to worry about. He can't prepare at liberty, he can't just amble into distance. Getting close now. And again, he commits out and Russell draws it and scores. Good hit from Russell. And again, Russell finds himself at 4-all. Russell will want to draw him out if he can. Feel like he's lost a bit of confidence in his direct game. So if he can make Gervin commit to something, that'll be the ideal. Oh, fantastic from Gervin. Fantastic. Came marching forward, arm up. Russell could not resist. He could not resist biting. Paul Verdon celebrates with him. It's a big hit from Will Gervin. He's beaming. Great finish from the Irishman. All right, here we are then. Paul Verdon back on for his last. And he's up against the Scottish boss, Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos looked really strong all pool. When he's gone direct, he's been very accurate and he's been very quick. But he's been very effective at drawing people out and getting mistakes that way too.
Well, the technique, to be fair, because it wasn't an easy hit at all. So let's see what these can do. So Papadopoulos,
Penultimate fight then.
Scotland, and
Paul Verdon on the left, Alex Papadopoulos on the right.
on the left, Northern Ireland. So this is the penultimate fight.
Papadopoulos looks comfortable in his half and his opponent's half of the piece. Really strong sign. He's looking relaxed, he's looking sharp. And he's got Verdon on the back line. Verdon's found himself here quite a lot in this pool. It's not necessarily where he wants to be, but he capitalises. Papadopoulos getting tangled, and Verdon's able to score. Papadopoulos maybe shouldn't be too discouraged by that. Sometimes it happens. Pin to the back line. Papadopoulos, what's his answer? Feels like he can rely on his straight game here. He's not. Verdon's going to sit back. He's not going to take too many risks. There we are, direct from Papadopoulos. That's the game he wants to play. That'll reinforce his confidence in what he's trying to do. Not entirely deliberate there from Paul Verdon, but he'll take it. Curse of the commentator a little bit on Alex Papadopoulos, talking about how good he's been all pool, and now he's struggling. But then, again, direct, two-arm, nice hit. Really ramping up the energy now is Papadopoulos. Verdon, though, equal to it, just sitting back. He's patient, he's calm. He's scored his hits. Getting very close to the back line, though, Verdon. He doesn't want to step off by accident, and while he's worried about it, again, in with that direct flesh is Papadopoulos. It's a real weapon that he's got in his arsenal. Just 30 seconds to go now. Familiar territory this for Paul Verdon. He's down and the clock's running against him. You can see the shift in the fight now. It starts to move into Papadopoulos' half. And intercepted again, that flesh for the third time. Papadopoulos looks like he was hurt by that one. Very close. Right into the chest, very close. He's down. Oh, right on the backhand. That is, but he's fine. 2 hits down, 17 seconds to go. And Papadopoulos takes his time, drops back, absorbs the attack and scores.
Papadopoulos takes it. Is it given? It is given.
Verdon argues, but eventually accepts the referee's decision.
Was it in time? So, final match, good bit of sportsmanship there. Spelling the values.
And now we're on to the final fight. On the right, Edward Don of Wales, and on the left, Will East of England. Here we are, their final pool fight. Bring it on, it's Edward Don. The English beast, Will East. East on the attack early. Don's looking to parry him. He's got to watch out for that two-time attack, that double attack for the East brings, where he'll go short and then go again. And he ends up off the back. Again, it's that double attack. Don goes for the first and then stumbles back and ends up a good meter off the back line because of that second action from East. It's a good move, particularly from East, because he knows that his opponent is trying to parry him.
So first blood, Will East then. Edward Don then, Wales needs to establish some base in South African fight. Looking to either the Nike trainers there. Anything will do. Left foot, loose, fluorescent. Anyway, pretty garish. But clearly effective.
Sitting back now is East. He spent a lot of time in this pool on the front foot. Looks like he's quite happy to just sit back. Maybe doesn't work out for him on this occasion. He sits back. He's on his back foot as he tries to launch forward. It just takes him that little bit longer, and Don can catch him with the renewal of his attack.
Halfway through, 3 minutes, 1 minute 26 left. Things can turn around in epee pretty quickly.
Again, there's that double action from
So we've got a score.
East.
Remember, epee is the traditional dueling weapon, target area.
But Don's equal to it. Knows to expect it.
Excluding, of course, the back of the neck. In any of the fencing disciplines, no hits are made directly, that is. It can be sometimes an accidental touch, but no hits around to the back of the neck.
This time, East just holds. Doesn't give Don that parry, that attack early on. Goes round, waits for the parries, then goes round and scores.
It's the last minute.
1 minute, 3-2 to East.
Races hold and stuff as well, so a minute is not really that important. There's only one hit difference.
45 seconds now. Neither one really pressing. We're stuck in the center of the piece. It's going to take real mistakes to score hits in this. And there's a mistake. East gets stranded in no man's land. He steps in, stops, and Don goes over the top. He used this beautifully in his last fight, scoring over the top with that flesh. 30 seconds could have going to priority here. Some action still, but the distances have started to open out. We're into the final 15 seconds. Is someone going to take a risk, or are we going to take it into that final minute? Will Eastie's aware of what's going on the clock. Final 5 seconds. Don's still probing, but no, we go to priority.
So, now we've got to sudden death, and it's quite apt. The light stays on.
Final fight, final hit.
Side. So, East has it. Priority is given. 1 minute fencing. Either if it scores, they win. If there is no score at the end, will East will take this position.
Don moving up now. East has always been better on the front foot. I think Don feels if he can press him, if he can put him under pressure, then maybe he can draw a mistake. Maybe looking to use that flesh over the top, and there it is. Gets the parry, scores with the flesh over the top. Good performance from Edward Don. Really nice finish. That finishes our coverage of the pool rounds. We will be back shortly with coverage of the wheelchair foil final. But until then, we will take a short break. Thank you very much for watching. Welcome back. It is time for our first final of the weekend. We have the wheelchair foil final taking place on the pink piste. This final will be between Joshua Waddell and Kasyan Paskovsky, both of England. Also taking place at the moment, we have the men's and women's sabre pools, which will be happening across the hall. But we are staying with the wheelchair foil final. The referee for this fight will be Sean Grundy, and because it is final, there will also be video referee, and our video referee will be Ewan Deemer. They will be assisted by Seth Blackmore and the indomitable Jamie Simpson. We have Waddell on the right, we have Paskovsky on the left. With the wheelchair, the wheelchairs are locked in place in a frame, and then at the start of the fight, the distance is set based off of the fencer who has the shortest reach. And they can choose whether to set it off of their own distance or off of their opponent's. Here we are then, both fences almost plugged in. Pool fights just being finished, being announced to the rest to the audience in the arena. Josh Waddell and Cassian both plugged in, and we'll be ready to go any minute now with our first final. Waddell on the right, Cassian on the left.
Yeah, rights and ways, so the person attacking is the one moving forward with feet and hand. So, we think we are ready. So it'll be the first thing, home nation versus home nation. So if you fence off, Wales, Wales, England, England, and then the rest. Athletes, please salute your...
Both of these fences were here last year. Cassian took away the silver medal in the foil, and Josh took the bronze. So we're expecting this to be a close fight, an even fight.
So stay there, not allowed to cross the feet, going forwards, but they don't need to. You see the speed of aggressive action. This is the cut and thruster. They can hit the edge or the points. Contact is just made through touching your sword, the metal up against the shiny stuff, and that will complete the circuit. Light will come on. Same convention, light on left as you're looking into the arena. Red if it's a red light, that person scored. If it's green, that person scored. Two lights come on at the same time. Sometimes the referee might call it together, but the referee will have their work for them with them. So we will come into some action at the same time, but we will stick with the main event here, which is the gold medal match, which is the mixed wheelchair foil.
Here we are setting the distance now. Cassian with the shorter reach, so we're setting and adjusting the frame based off of his distance. We will be keeping that there for the whole fight.
We saw both these athletes came through quite challenging semi-finals. Paul and Thomas both defeated. Thomas beat by Patkowski and Holger by Waddell. So
Here we are then. Final underway. Immediately, Cassian takes his time, absorbs the first attack from Waddell and scores. The pace and precision of the wheelchair foil is so high. The intensity fencing at this distance is so high. And again, Cassian absorbs, it goes off target. It's a furious exchange from the two.
hits off target. Just get the chair adjusted in the straps. Flip the score around. The initial score was Patkowski did score first, but was very good defense. Patkowski needed to be
Cassian is so strong on his defense. He's so good just absorbing the attacks from Waddell and then trying to find the riposte. The moment not having complete joy with the riposte, but once he has his time, he will. Counter riposte from Waddell is off target.
alumni from school games. Kitchen. Dimitri was in Rio.
Again, and this time he's been absorbing all this time, and now he goes straight out with a really sharp attack. Good from Patkowski, good variety. Again, absorbing. And even though Cassian's attack is parried, he goes back in again while Waddell is lining up his riposte.
So, Saber looking vicious over there, clear and looking, and I bet that's Jamie Chris. Thought it might be, he's on it.
And this time, intelligent from Waddell. He goes in, he gets parried, and he goes straight again while Castellan's back. Good, really reading his opponent well. It's good. He tries to do the same again, but this time Castellan is ready for it, and he riposts and scores.
Really warming up here. He leads 4-2.
Again, counter riposte. Waddell's looking strong. Paskowski can't take too long, and again, beautiful remise from Waddell because he knows that Paskowski's taking his time with the riposte. So he's going in with the remise and mixing that up with counter riposte. Really smart. Paskowski needs to start coming out on the attack and does. Beautiful, really good. Early start from Paskowski, yellow card. And it's a good counter riposte from Waddell. Tactically, fencing really smart. Good from Paskowski. He's taking his time. He can't afford to give too much time to Waddell. He's got to mix up and start attacking get some attacks of his own. It's a really good contest now. The counter riposte fails from Waddell. Excellent remise of his own from Paskowski. They're really reading each other well. Who's taking too long on the riposte? Who's going direct? Again, Waddell has the counter riposte but fails to score.
So, Paskowski, much as he did in the semi-final, he trailed initially, then he put down the metal, and here he is leading 8-4, going into the
Looks for the remise again. Paskowski's equal to it. It's a good counter riposte again from Waddell. That first movement is so important. Got to mix up between are you attacking, are you defending? And again, it's that counter riposte from Waddell. When he's dealing with Paskowski's response, he's really, really sharp. And it's direct from Waddell. Very good. They're anticipating each other so well, these two. Waddell at the moment, slightly ahead. Fails with the counter riposte. And this time, Waddell just delays his attack and then scores. Really intelligent. And again, delays his attack and scores. Look for one of them to go direct on this point. And there, Paskowski goes direct. He's parried, but he gets the remise. Really strong from Paskowski. Time direct from Waddell, off target, unfortunate. He wants to test, thought he had it. This time direct and does score.
Very slow, and did he like that touch? He did. My goodness me. 10-10 is the score.
This time Paskowski goes for that remise, doesn't get there.
He gets it on, he's not stopping.
And this time goes through again with Waddell. Waddell's understanding of what he's trying to do at the start and how he's trying to deal with Paskowski's response is really, really impressive. It's what's brought him back into this match. Both look to attack. Waddell goes to video. Waddell gets 2 incorrect calls. So if he gets it correct, if he's correct, he keeps his video and he stays with 2. If he's incorrect, he will lose his video. And he'll only have the 1 remaining. Sean Grundy on his way back now. He'll take his seat, and it's a good, correct decision. Attack Waddell. Look for delayed attacks now. There's the delayed attack parried, and the counter riposte is off target. And this time again, it's the attack from Waddell. Now he's mixing up at the start. Is he going direct or is he delaying? Look for him to delay again. Paskowski is behind in the score, and he's behind on the ideas at the moment. And the counter riposte is off target. Opportunity for Paskowski to go direct if he goes now. And he goes and scores. Important hit, that last one for Paskowski. Shows he's still right in there in the thinking. Got to stay ahead of the tactics, but the remise is good. And it's a victory for Joshua Waddell. Fantastic fight. He controlled the tactics of the occasion so well. Initially taking away Paskowski's riposte from him with good, intelligent uses of remises and counter ripostes. And then, at the end, started to dominate at the start, mixing up between his direct attacks and then his delayed attacks. Really dominated all aspects of that fight by the end of it. Fantastic performance from Joshua Waddell. And that concludes our first final of the weekend. Thank you for tuning in for our coverage of today's School Games 2017. Join us tomorrow, where we will have the individual knockouts. We will have the individual knockouts and the wheelchair epee final. Join us at 2 o'clock for the medal presentations for the wheelchair foil final. And now here they are on the podium. In third place, we have James Thomas and Emily Holder. In second place, Kasian Paskovsky. And the winner is Joshua Waddell. For anyone who saw the final, Josh put in a fantastic performance after going down early on and then showed real intelligent adjustments to his game to come back and take it at a final score of 15-11. Really good intelligent fencing off the line, and was able to use Kasian's parry riposte against him, scoring with remises and counter riposte. Really strong performance. Now they're just being handed the medals. James collects his. Medals presented by Viv Mills, Director of England Fencing. And as they all receive their medals, that brings our coverage of day one of the 2017 School Games at Loughborough University to a close. Thank you very much to the funders, National Lottery, Sport England, and of course the support of Loughborough University. Join us tomorrow, where we will have the knockout matches, the DE matches from all of the individual events, as well as the wheelchair epee competition. Until then, thanks very much for watching.